Infatuasian podcast.
Hey everyone, how's it going? Welcome back to the Infatuasian podcast. I'm speaking in a little bit of a hushed tone because I'm actually in a hotel room right now and the rest of my family is still sleeping. So I'll try to keep it down a little bit. But we got a really fun episode for you today. We are speaking with Charley Phung of Chloé Cà Phê. And it's up in Sacramento, and it's not just a coffee shop that serves great coffee, which it is, but Charley and his wife and his 2-year-old daughter are on a mission to bring Vietnamese coffee to the world. Vietnam has been providing coffee for the world for decades and decades, but it's not known as a specialty coffee, and Charley really wants to change that because he's importing and roasting Vietnamese coffee beans to make specialty coffees and really upscale and high-level coffee. A lot of stuff I don't know. I'm not a coffee expert. And so I learned a lot from this episode, and I hope you do too. And if you're in the Sacramento area, go visit Chloé Cà Phê. It sounds really fun. They have a pho-inspired coffee, which I didn't get to try yet, but I'm going to head up there and try it one of these days. A quick announcement, I think we're going to take a break next week because I'm doing a lot of traveling and it's just going to be hard to get episodes out. And so we'll be back in August with a new episode. And so you can use next week to catch up on one of our older episodes. I'm sure there's some you haven't listened to. So go dig deep into the archives. Oh, also apologies for the audio quality on my microphone. I had problems. I'm having some microphone problems. You would think after 5 years I would figure this stuff out. But yeah, apologies for my audio quality. It's not the greatest, but hopefully it's not distracting you from the topic. So, okay, everyone out there, thank you so much for listening. We hope that you're having a great July so far and are looking forward to an amazing August. And so let's go ahead and get into our conversation with Charley, which we'll get to right after this. And we are joined with Charley Phung from, I think you're calling in from Sacramento today?
Yep, Chloé Cà Phê.
Chloé Cà Phê. And so you are co-founder, and do you have another title, CEO, or what's your official title over there?
Yeah, so CEO, co-founder, the head roaster, a little bit of pretty much everything. My wife's the other co-founder. Um, Chloe's named after our daughter, so we kind of like co-do everything. uh, but yeah, my background is in business strategies. I helped Porsche launch some brands, and before that, I was with Audi Business Innovation in San Francisco. Ironically enough, so I was in the city working on basically tech and a lot of like future mobility businesses for Audi. And then kind of left there, built some programs for Porsche in like Asia and across North America. But yeah, so that kind of led to me opening up a couple different businesses that we'll dive into later in the conversation. But it just requires kind of like the startup mentality is to be able to do everything, man. It's just like you got to know how to roast, but you also got to know how to look at this P&L sheet and see if you're roasting for flavor or you're roasting for business.
Yeah. So we're talking with Charley Phung about Chloé Cà Phê in Sacramento. So if you're in the Sacramento area, actually, Charley, I'll be in Sac in a couple weeks for a conference. So I'm going to try to swing down to see Chloé. I'm going to be kind of in the downtown area. You're not too far from there, right? Mid-city, Midtown?
Yeah. So if your conference is most likely going to be at the Safe Convention Center, we're like maybe 4 minutes away. Not even
Oh,
4 minutes away. We're like in the heart of Midtown. It was like very strategic for us to be here.
all right. So yeah, everyone out there listening, maybe there'll be an update. Maybe there'll be a live update from Chloé Cà Phê in the middle of summer one of these days. But let's talk about your roots a little bit. So, I think it was Crystal's family who first started your wife Crystal's family who first started the coffee business?
Yeah, so in the late, '80s, they bought a coffee shop here in Sacramento, or started one, and they've always, as immigrants, we always typically try to stick together in South Sacramento, right? And their space was more of a community center than really a coffee shop,
Mm.
so, like, she was just born, and her parents were literally just sticking her into a cubby to hide her from all the cigarette smokes. Um, Back then, a lot of the shops were just, like, places for the men to come and hang out. They would karaoke at night, and, my father-in-law just really loves to sing as well. So it was called, Café Chiu Tim, which means Purple Evenings. Um, 1, he loves Prince, the singer. 2, he is, a huge Kings fan, right?
Mm.
So, the shop is great for the community, but, into the '90s, Asian gangs, specifically Vietnamese gangs, were very prevalent in the area. So, there was a lot of fights, there was a lot of issues, and it just wasn't a great environment for them to raise my wife, Crystal. So, they ended up closing the business down, and then went into another food and beverage business. But yeah, that's kinda like where we felt that this was a full circle. They got out of coffee business because of their daughter, and we're getting back into the coffee business because of our daughter.
Yeah, I love that. I didn't tell you, I went to UC Davis in the '90s,
Oh, okay.
and so we used to come up to Sac a little bit, and yeah, South Sac kinda had a reputation to be a little rough, a little rough sometimes.
Yeah, yeah. It's, you know, it's it's a little bit of, like, my background, her background of why we're in the coffee business and, UC Davis to kind of put it all back together in terms of the Vietnamese Student Association.
Hmm.
We're very big in nonprofit, and that's how me and her met was actually at a national conference in Minnesota. But, she went to UC Davis at a time, I was at Florida State,
Uh-huh.
and, you know, I went to go visit her in 2012, and it was actually the first time I got to try Blue Bottle and the first time I got to drink specialty coffee, right?
Hmm.
So, like, all of it comes back to, like, Sacramento and South Sac, because when we were picking location, we're like, "Man," like, everyone was asking, "Why don't you just put the location of the shop in, Little Saigon in South Sac?" And we felt that, like, if we're gonna say we're specialty, why does our culture have to belong in South Sac when all the hipsters and all the cool kids are in downtown Midtown? So, locally here, Tempo Coffee is the biggest name, and we really look up to them. So we felt that, like, hey, we're gonna box and we get our heads knocked off. We want to box with the top, right? We're gonna race each other to the top. We don't want to race our own people to the bottom. There's already coffee shops in South Sac. There's already, like, themed coffee shops in South Sac, and a lot of pho restaurants and Asian restaurants sell the traditional cafe sida. So we're like, "Hey, we're not doing any of that. Why do we need to be down there? Like, we should be up here. We're gonna be serving cappuccinos, gonna be serving flat whites, a lot of pour overs, specialty drinks." And we felt that this was a great way to represent Asian culture in, like, specialty coffee because, um, it's not just about us, but it's about showing the local community here where Vietnamese coffee was and where it can be at now.
Hmm. Okay. Yeah, I didn't know you had a little UC Davis in your guys' history too. That's cool. That's
Yeah,
cool.
yeah, she was, the president of the Vietnamese Student Association over there.
All right. All right. Go Ags.
Yeah.
All right. So you guys met through VSA, and then I think you started a different business, like a dumpling business, for several years.
Yeah, so, I grew up in the South. Like, I know a lot about colleges because Florida State, is a big college town, right? We're
Hmm.
a
Yeah.
D1 college, a lot of football, and it was kinda where I got my start in, food and beverage, was that, like, I have watched some of my family members own restaurants, but, like, never actually operating one myself. So when I got to college, I was operating a, hibachi spot, right? And then we
Hmm.
we created a wing spot. So I've like by 18, turning 19, I already knew how to launch a restaurant. But after graduating college, I went into banking. I left banking, moved to San Francisco, built a couple, got picked up by Audi, built a couple businesses for them and also Porsche. And then when COVID was about to hit, I actually was like, I didn't know it was happening, but I was like, man, I'm gonna move to Sacramento and marry this girl. Let me just figure this out, right? And leave the city. I leave the city. 4 months later, COVID happens, and then I have a Porsche friend who, from Southern California, where he called me up and was like, "Hey, I have these dumplings that I'm making for the restaurants, but I'm looking to, like, grow into NorCal. Um, so with this business, with the dumpling business, like, you can buy dumplings and we'll deliver it to you. Flat fee, $10, doesn't matter where you're at, on the peninsula, San Jose, or in the city, and then also obviously Sacramento. It's just $10 flat fee, and we would deliver you restaurant quality dumplings." So, because they were made for actually a restaurant, but during COVID, all the restaurants were closed. Yeah. So you could just literally they were flash frozen, like, they were handmade, flash frozen, and then we would, like, box them in a USDA SQF certified facility and then bring it up to NorCal, store it, and then deliver it. So when we did that, that dumpling, business was called Cali Dumpling. It still exists today, but they ship, they don't just deliver, right? But as I got out of that business and I was like, "Hey, I really like working with you, dude, but, like, COVID's ending now, like, people are going outside again. I wanna have the ability to take these dumplings, into the concert venues," because that's what my wife's family did, was they did all the food festivals and all the like, picnic day was, like, a big thing for them, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So when COVID lifted, we started doing this thing called Foodie Land. Um,
Mhm.
so food festivals and night markets,
Yeah.
and we operated that as, the Drunken Dumpling. And the numbers were really good for the first 2021 into 2022, even 2023, the numbers were really good. And we started the food festivals themselves started figuring out, "Hey, we go further east into Texas, we can even make even more money."
Mm.
So, we would do what a restaurant would do in, like, a month and 3 days, right? So, the further we went, by 2023, we were like, "Oh, man, like, we have a baby," you know? So, as we had Chloe, we did not really feel like this business was sustainable. I remember vividly spending 6 weeks, and it was, like, the 7th week that we spent in Texas doing events. I came home and Chloe didn't recognize me.
Ah.
So, she didn't want me to hold her because she was like, "Who the hell is this dude?" You know? So I felt like at that time, I was like, "This is not even worth it anymore." So, we decided to license out the business. Yeah.
Okay, so you got the baby, you got baby Chloe. You're looking to do something else. And then did the Vietnamese coffee kind of just come to mind from your parent-in-laws?
So as we were traveling, we didn't wanna travel anymore, and Chloe that happened with Chloe. It was December of 2023. I got a call one night, and it was, my dad's best friend's son, right? And he was like, "Hey, your dad just passed away." And I thought he was joking because I was like, "That is the most random phone call ever." And so I was like, "Wait, what?" Like, this is it's like 5 PM on a Thursday, right? And then, ironically enough, is actually, my wife's and I's anniversary, 12/12. So, I was like, "Man," like, I'm holding Chloe and I get the call, and then, like, I'm kinda looking at the situation because me and my dad never really had a super close relationship because I left for America when I was 7. I never really built a relationship with him, because him and my mom were divorced. So, I wanted to be the one thing that I never had, which was a father. So now I'm holding my baby and I get the call, but by 2019, I was already doing very well for myself and traveling back to Vietnam with Porsche. So, like, he was seeing me kinda become my own man and be successful, right? So by 2019, him and I were rekindling the relationship, so we became close by 2023. But when he passed, I was like, "Man, I don't really know if it's worth it for me to, like, come home for the funeral because 'cause they're like, "No, they wanna have cremation by tomorrow." So I was actually not gonna go to the funeral, but my father-in-law was like, "No, like, as a Vietnamese man, that is your duty as the oldest son, you have to be there. Your dad
Mhm.
will lose face, and, like, you won't regret going, but you will regret one day not going."
Yeah.
So, by 10 PM, I was on a plane. So,
Mhm.
like, in 5 hours, I had to, like,
Hmm.
thank God we have, like, the luxury to be able to put that on a card and just be like, "Yo, we're going."
Yeah.
But, I flew back to Vietnam by myself, went to by Friday morning in Vietnam, I was, like I think by 1 PM, I was at their house. So, they live outside of, Saigon, so I flew in and drove straight out, went to the funeral, and at the funeral the key part of this conversation, and it's always, like, dicey when it comes to this part,
Mhm.
is that, like, my dad's side was very pro-communist. So, my
Mm.
dad's side actually went the communist route, and my dad, um, was dirt poor, got to go to college because he spent, years in the army fighting the Khmer Rouge, right on the border, and
Uh-huh.
then the government paid for him to go to college. He went to college, and then he became at one point, he was the head of customs in Vietnam.
Hmm.
So, he retired, and then when he retired, that's when we started, like, building a relationship. Because when you work in the government in Vietnam, it's not like you can just contact America and have a son in America.
Yeah,
It looks
yeah,
like that, right?
yeah.
So, we never had contact, but because he saw that I grew up without any of the money, without any of the help, he was like, "Damn, he actually did it." Like, he actually went to America and made something of himself, right? So when I came back, a lot of his friends were like, "Dude, your dad's dream was always for you to do something with Vietnam to help the country, right?" And
Mm.
he's expressed this to me multiple times too. It's like, "When are you gonna come home and do something, like, big? Like, I can really help you out." And I'm like, "There's nothing left to do, man." Like, I'm a consultant for, like, a company already, but, like, what am I gonna do? Export coconuts? Like, that's sugarcane, just goods and services? And I'm not, frowning on that industry, but, like, everyone's done that already. Like, that's not scalable in my eyes, right? You'll make
Mhm.
money, but it doesn't really make an impact on people, right?
Mhm.
So, I looked around and I was like, "Wait, you mean, like, no one here no one, literally no one here is doing specialty coffee?"
Mm.
And he was like, they're like, what is specialty coffee?" Right? And they're like, "Coffee is coffee." So, I fly back to America, and I'm like I call up my technically my little sister, my assistant, Jenny. She's now the brand, the GM, general manager for the brand. I was like, "We're getting into coffee. We're going back to Vietnam." And so by February, so literally my dad passed away 12/12, December 23, and, by February, we went back to Vietnam for, like, 3 weeks, right? So, that's what made us go into coffee because I was like, "Look, we have a good story here. Your parents did coffee, I like coffee, I know coffee, and no one's moving specialty." My mom and also my wife's parents were like, "You guys are dumb. Like, there's no money in coffee at all." It's like they call it, like, just looking for pennies. Like,
Mm.
there's no money in coffee at all. Like, because they're essentially the first thing that came in their head was, "If you're gonna sell coffee, you need to add, banh mi to it. That's the only way you're gonna make money." It was like, "Just open up a coffee shop just so you can sell banh mi. That's how you're gonna make money." But I was like, "Wait, if there's no money in coffee, how come these brands are doing north of 20,000,000? These brands are doing billions, and then
Mhm.
all these dudes that have money that are financing the debt are doing hundreds of millions." So
Mhm.
there's a gap in between there somewhere that I can fit in, right? And I was like trying to explain to them that there's no Vietnamese players in specialty, and they're like, "Yeah, no one's gonna pay that much for coffee," right?
Yeah.
So by February, we're like, "Alright, let's go back to Vietnam." Go back to Vietnam. I was like in my head, "Okay, I need to procure a product and demo a product," right? So we go back to Vietnam. We spend 3 weeks going from different coffee shop to other coffee shop to different coffee shops, right? So we spent probably roughly like 10 grand on just going to Vietnam and
Hmm.
drinking coffee, and which
Mhm.
is a lot of money in Vietnam.
Yeah,
But at
yeah.
every shop that we went to, we would start asking like, "Okay, if your shop's in Saigon, which is here, and then your shop is in Dalat, is here, and you are 6 hours apart by driving, but you're both sourcing from the same farm,
Mm.
right? And then I fly up to Hanoi, which is the capital now, and I'm like, "You're sourcing from the same farm as well. What's special about this farm?" And then we would go to that farm. So we would go to that farm and ask, "Well, hey, like, can we buy green coffee from you?" And they're like, "Do you know how to roast?" And I was like, "No, I don't need to know how to roast." They thought we were crazy, right? But we bought green coffee from them, but we bought roasted coffee from all these shops.
Mhm.
Now we go back to America, and because of the dumpling business, because we were like, "Okay, 2024 gonna be the last year we operate the dumpling business, and we're gonna do it big. Like, we're gonna go to every event, we're gonna go to every state, every city." And as we got to every state and every city, we would pop into these different coffee shops that are literally famous in America and be like, would you use this? Like, what do you think about this?" And the cool thing about coffee or specialty coffee at that level is that everyone's always looking for a different product to differentiate
Mm.
itself from other shops,
Yeah.
or these people are genuinely in love with coffee. They love the craft, they love the seed, they love what the seed does, but no one's ever seen specialty come out of Vietnam, right?
Mm.
So as we went to more and more shops, and one of them is Proud Mary out in, Austin, Texas. They're f they're from originally from, Australia, but they have a shop in Austin, Texas, and also in Portland, 2 very major, very hipster, high income cities, technically, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
And they serve $40 cups of coffee, right? And they serve, like, cheap or more approachable, economical $5 cups of coffee. So they have a whole price range of what you can buy, right? So we asked them, like, "How would you use this? What do you know about it?" And as we went to more and more and more shops, like, we went to a shop in Denver, they're like, "Yo, this is really good. I don't know what to do with it because I don't use this. My demographic doesn't drink this type of coffee, but I think this is a really good espresso shot." So February all the way up until about October, we're like, "Okay, cool. We have a good product, but we don't know how to roast." At the same time, we were traveling all these different coffee shops that they sometimes they would roast their own coffee, sometimes they wouldn't. They would use a roastery, and we're like, "So you're telling me nobody knows how to roast Vietnamese coffee?" And they're like, "No, no, no, that's not what we're saying. We don't know how to roast this coffee because this is
Mm.
specialty. We all buy Vietnamese coffee." I was like, "Well, how come you guys aren't publishing it?" They're like, "Well, because Vietnamese coffee is cheap and gross.
Mm.
Like,
Mm.
it's commodity. We use it in a blend because we need the kick from the Robusta coffee to have that blend or that power, that body that people like in their espresso, but it doesn't have the flavor profiles of like a
Uh.
Colombian or an Ethiopian."
Mm.
I was like, "Okay, but you just said it was good." And they're like, "Yeah, it's amazing, but like, I don't know how to roast it, dude. We've never seen anything like this."
Mm. Mm.
Right? So we're like, "Shit, like if like plan backfire, I do need to know how to roast," right? Um, so in October of 2024, we went back to Vietnam again, and I spent a month in the jungle of Vietnam. Sounds like a war movie, but like uh, I spent a month in the jungles learning how to roast with the roasters, with the farmers and producers.
Mm.
And on that trip, we actually met a roaster out of Korea, and he was like, I was like, "Well, dude, why are you here?" And he was like, "No, why are you here?" Um, because he was based out of Gangnam, which is like a
Yeah.
very affluent neighborhood in Seoul. And he was like, "Well, I'm here because for the price point of what this coffee represents in Vietnam, I can get it from Vietnam to Korea for cheaper than what the price point of what I'm buying from Colombia. And I think this farm specifically has the flavor profiles that our customers like." And that kinda, like, made me new. I'm like, "I'm on the right path." Like, if the top people are saying it tastes good and the people in other parts of the world are also coming to my country, my home, to buy coffee, why am I not going home to buy coffee,
Mm. Mm.
right? So, we decided then that we would, sign the lease. We signed the lease in, in October, but we got the keys in November, and by January, we passed health department. So we opened our doors, for soft launch February 2025. March 22nd was grand opening, and it's just been nonstop with with things, man. Like we're the first Vietnamese coffee brand to be highlighted by La Marzocco Home in their partnership where they send coffee to their 500 home subscribers. So
Mm.
each home got 2 bags of our coffee, and
Hmm.
it's again coffee that knows most Americans have never seen.
I love it. I love it. And like the what you said is most people are probably drinking some kind of Vietnamese coffee already, and we just don't know it. But then you're putting the brand on it, you're putting the face on it, where it's like, no, you are drinking Vietnamese coffee when you drink your coffee. That's really cool.
What we're trying to get people to rethink and to also associate with locally and nationally is this. If we're talking about coffee, Starbucks buys over $280 million of coffee from Vietnam.
Mm.
Lavazza, which is a huge Italian brand, has a head office in Vietnam. They buy almost 80% as well of their coffee from Vietnam. They're Italian. They don't grow coffee in Italy. Like it's just marketing, right? They
Huh.
get a lot of their coffee from Africa and also from Vietnam, right? So everybody and literally their mom has been drinking Vietnamese coffee. They just don't know it,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
What we want people to associate with is Vietnamese coffee is an ingredient. It is our second largest export. We are number one in Robusta on the planet. We're number two in producing, right?
Mm.
And funny enough, the Vietnam delegation has given UC Davis a blank check to essentially research coffee because UC Davis is the only coffee research lab in North America.
Oh wow.
But Vietnam wants to surpass Brazil by 2030 in terms of global export, right? Um, so the body flavor that most Vietnamese Americans like in the condensed milk, right? It's called dam, right? So when they're looking for that, you can get that from a Robusta, which is twice the caffeine of an Arabica, right? It's that boldness, that chocolatey cacao taste with a lot of depth. And then Arabica, which traditionally what most Americans drink due to the slave trade, is because of like the easiness of having it, but it has subjectively to some people, it has a better taste profile because it's fruitier. It's a little bit more bright, right? It's a lot more easy to drink if you're drinking it as a drip coffee, right? So it's just depending on our flavor profile. We, as a coffee shop and a coffee brand, when you come into the shop, we typically just ask a simple question of like, what do you look for in your coffee? Do you want a milk base or non milk base? If you tell me I like drip, then we could guide you to an Arabica that we have from Vietnam that provides a drip taste and a fruity taste. We're simply saying Vietnam can grow and has been growing since the 1800s 4 different species of coffee,
Hmm.
right? We're known for Robusta, but we do the other three very well. And funny enough, a lot of major brands like Blue Bottle are in Vietnam looking for Liberica, right?
Hmm.
Liberica is another species that is been in Vietnam for so long that like a lot of people somewhat forgot about it, right? So for us, what makes us different in terms of having the TAM, the total accessible market, is we can sell to everyone. We're not looking to sell to just a person that wants an ube coffee or an egg coffee, right? Because yes, those are a staple in what you can do, but what we find in business is that those coffee shops and those trends die. Over time, like egg coffee's been around since like the war, right? It's a necessity thing. It's just the fact that now it is trendy because of tourism. People want that. We actually had a customer come into our shop. There was 2 Caucasian ladies that were like, "You don't have egg coffee? How dare you call yourself Vietnamese?" And walked out. They didn't even give us a chance to say anything.
Uh,
And that's part of why we felt like this mission statement of what we're doing is very important because the farmers and producers that we work with in Vietnam, they are second, third, fourth generation farmers that they've now figured out, yeah, we've mastered commodity, but we can do premium commercial and specialty. So
uh,
why not have or incorporate some of what the internet has taught us about what Colombia and Ethiopia, Panama is doing and process our coffee better to sell it for a higher price point? Why do we have to always sell you commodity when we could sell you specialty?
uh-huh.
We want our product because it deserves a premium to command a premium. That's like you saying in wine terms of like, you can drink a sparkling from Napa that'll rival a, champagne from Champagne. But because of the branding and because of the way the wine and the spirit world works, people will say, "Well, I only drink a Bordeaux," but they would not give an Opus One a chance. And
Hmm.
Opus One is one of the top brands in Asia now, but it's grown here in California. So for us as Vietnam and how we wanna represent Vietnamese farmers is that when we say that when we buy coffee, we don't go to a foreign country, we go home, it means we go home to see our family. We go like the aunties, the uncles, they look just like us. We're representing them. So we sell coffee at a local level and a drink. Yes. You can have a cool drink, a fun drink. One of our top sellers is the bourbon vanilla latte. Our signature is a shaken pho americano. So we do have something more different that you can try, but we also sell our coffee to other businesses, B2B. So if you're a shop in Arkansas and you're Vietnamese and you grew up like I did, not around a lot of Vietnamese people, but you want to source coffee from Vietnam, you want to open up a shop, we want it to be like a light switch where you can source the coffee directly from us and open up shop. It'll be our coffee, your brand. We roast it for you. And because I've already imported it myself into
Hmm.
America, they can buy it from me.
Yeah.
So, in our brand and our business strategy is like the shop is mainly just a community center and a proof of concept. So you can come here, try our coffee, enjoy the space, but we're looking to sell our coffee nationally and internationally and represent Vietnam on a global level, not just be just Sacramento. So
Yeah.
that's why we're such a big market disruptor right now.
All right, man. I love it. I'm definitely gonna come by. I'll see you sometime. I'll email you before I do, but I'd love to meet you in person in Sacramento. So anybody out there, if you're near Sac, go visit Chloe. But other than the shop in Sac, can people get your stuff online? They can buy some beans.
Yeah, so it'll be Chloe dash CAPHE, Chloe Cafe, Chloe-cafe.com. We sell nationally, internationally. We sell coffee as our brand, right? Retail, so it'll be our coffee. But if you're listening and you're trying to start a shop, you can reach out and we'll
Hmm.
sell you our coffee with your brand. We white label for I think over 10 accounts right now. So we're looking to get more as we are heading into our second year of business. So
Yeah.
yeah,
All right, man. Well, you survived our hard questions. I loved hearing your story, but are you ready for a little bit of a quick fire round?
yeah, sure.
All right. What's your coffee order? You walk into a coffee shop, either Chloe or elsewhere. What are you ordering?
Always espresso. I always order 2 drinks, espresso, so I can see what your base is, and a flat white. That's the biggest thing is that I wanna taste the coffee. I'm not going to a pho restaurant to order hamburgers.
Yeah.
Like, I wanna taste what you're known for.
Okay. So
Yep.
that's the measuring stick for everybody, right? You got to check out their espresso and their
Yeah.
flat white.
If you're known for pour overs, then I'll get a pour over, but I always order what you're known for. Yeah.
All right. Well, speaking of Vietnamese cuisine, when you walk into a Vietnamese restaurant, or what do you crave when you go into a Vietnamese restaurant?
I could eat pho twice a day, every day for the rest of my life, man. Like, when I was young, I wasn't like that, but now that I'm older, I want something warm and something soupy, and I think pho has a lot of depth because you can have as long as you have a like, I could be in Arkansas and it could be a bad bowl of pho, but if the soup is hot, I'll tip.
Yeah, I hear you. I
Yeah.
hear you. Hey, you were down here for a while. You got a spot in SF to grab some pho or a banh mi?
Um, this is highly debated, alright? So I was in the city during the raining days of Turtle Tower.
Uh-huh.
It's changed a little bit. My I wouldn't say pho, but when I'm in SF, I'm not looking for pho, I'm looking for, hai ký mì gà in the tenderloin.
Uh-huh.
That's my go-to. Yeah,
Uh-huh.
yeah. I'm really, like I'm from the city, man, like, I lived in Florida most of my life, but I claim the city now, and that's always been where I wanna retire now is, like, the city. But
Yeah.
I feel like my wife's born and raised in Sacramento, so, like, we wanna raise our family here too, but that's where I wanna retire one day.
yeah, you're doing all right. Yeah, let me know when you're down in the TL. I'm not too far from there. We'll hang out.
Yeah, yeah.
All right. So I also saw that you do some tours of Vietnam, which sounds really cool. Well, I mean, besides your tour, if I had a couple of days, maybe 10 days in Vietnam, what cities do I have to hit up?
So, it's it depends on what you're looking for out of the experience,
Okay.
right? Just like, because I come from automotive, I always ask, well, don't ask me what's the best car. Ask me I want to ask how you live your life, right? If you enjoy seeing the process, I'll take you to a coffee farm in a random city,
Hmm.
right? If you're enjoying, all you want to do on a vacation is be on the beach, then Da Nang. Da
Mm-hmm.
Nang is literally surf capital of Vietnam right now. A lot of tech companies are there. It's very Western on one side of the city. The other side is local. That's a great spot. Obviously, Saigon is very fast paced, very like a lot of food, a lot of Michelin stars. And personally, I actually like Hanoi a little bit better because Hanoi in the fall is very beautiful.
Hmm.
People are a little bit more reserved, right? And the way they move is different, and it's not as bustling in some ways as
Huh.
Saigon. It just depends on what you're looking for. But I would say, besides those cities, um, Halong Bay must do,
Hmm.
must do. Like,
Okay.
you have to go to Halong Bay. That's, like, the place for me.
All right. You got a tour coming up? I saw you did one in March, but you got one coming up.
Yeah, so we have another tour in October that people can go to our website and sign up for and get some information on. We're in the process of updating some of the media for it. You can see what we do. We
Hmm.
build a tour based on who's going. We don't ever do the tours the same rounds. It's literally white glove service where we interview everybody that comes on to make sure the energy matches with everyone else. And then
Uh,
when they go, that's when we're really like, yo, we're gonna go here, here, and here to match this energy. Because
uh.
I can't expect you to sit there for 6 hours drinking coffee like we do, you know? Yeah.
That sounds great. It sounds great. I'll definitely have it on my list of something to do. But all right, Charlie, we end with our signature question. We ask our guests who their infatuation is. And infatuation is anyone you admire, could be living or deceased, someone you know or someone you admire from afar. So Charlie Phung of Chloe Cafe, who is your infatuation?
Uh, I wanna give you 2 because
That's fine.
the stereotypical one is, my mom, it's the hardest working person I know, right? So, she's without being able to speak the language, was able to raise me here, right? So
Mm-hmm.
I have to say her. But now that I'm older and I've gotten the education that she paid for and to have the ability to work for these multi-trillion dollar companies, right? Essentially, um, really look at one of the pioneers in Asian entertainment and Asian, just he's probably the most literate and articulate person I've ever spoken to, which is Eddie Huang. Um,
Mm,
Fresh Off the Boat was did
yeah.
a lot for me, as an individual because, the show on ABC was not how Eddie wanted it to be, but I actually saw him, when he came to San Francisco to do his first book signing for, the book, and then he did Double the Cup Love as well too. But I think Eddie is someone who I've always strived to be able to be like, or I want Chloe to be like, because, he's his dad is an immigrant, so I look to be more like his dad than him. But Eddie's very unapologetic in terms of how he communicates, but he's, able to articulate his thought in a way where it's not offensive.
Mm, hmm.
Opens the conversation for dialogue without making you feel like you're being belittled,
Huh.
right? And I think that's something that I want, Chloe to have the luxury of being able to do is that, like, I wanna have a conversation with you, but I really don't give a about how you feel because I got money. I don't need money. And I think that's the cool thing about him is that, like, he's not doing this for himself in some
Hmm.
ways.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a good pick. No one's picked him before, and it makes me think I got to get him on the podcast somehow. So,
Yeah, I think he just opened up another, he just reopened Bauhaus in New York, so,
okay.
yeah, we're in the food and beverage, so we're fans of everything, but we critique everything as well too. Not in a competitive, sparking way, but like I look at everything as blue ocean strategy, where if I
Yeah.
see somebody going this way, I don't want to compete with them. I just want to go it's many ways to go around it. Not saying
Yeah,
that like I could do better, but I could probably learn from their mistakes.
for sure. For sure.
Yeah.
Well, Charlie, this has been real fun. I'm excited about your story. I'm excited about your future. You got a lot going on. I only see the sky's the limit for you guys. So I'm excited to talk to you.
Yeah, man, we really appreciate the opportunity. I mean, I think the biggest thing for us in terms of having more and more dialogue is like, if you ever have anyone that you think we should speak to or have a platform with, we really truly want to be able to show or have a conversation to let people know that Vietnamese coffee, specialty coffee, is a thing and they have access to it. And the Vietnam can do and present, a lot of wonderful things, not just fin drips, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Love it. Thanks for your time, Charlie. Well, I'll let you know when this comes out. It's going to come out in a couple weeks, but good talking to you.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Have a good rest of your day.
You too. Bye.